Welcome, Kathy and Juan Antonio. Thank you for joining us on this edition of thePoint. Kathy, you're Vice President of Government Relations, Regulatory Affairs, and Public Policy at CPS Energy. Juan Antonio, you're Vice President of Government Affairs at Port San Antonio. And this year you were the two co-chairs of SA to DC. This was the 41st year of the SA to DC mission, but there might be some people who don't know about the history and the purpose of SA to DC. So let's start there.
Well, sure. 3 days, 185 people, and Capitol Hill. That is what SA to DC is. It is the Chamber's annual trip. As you mentioned, this was our 41st annual trip to Washington, DC. And it is a trip that we look forward to every year, and it plays a very important role in the San Antonio business community's public policy efforts.
And you said 185 people is the largest group we've ever had, is that right?
That's right. We overtook last year's record of 175 and had just a great show of force. You know, what I would add to Kathy's description of what SA to DC is, the way in which the Chamber organizes this effort into issue teams, such as aerospace, military affairs, cybersecurity, biosciences, all of the policy issues related to the industries that are important to San Antonio, makes for a very effective advocacy trip. And I think that the reports that we're hearing back are that the trip was a great success.
And when it started 4 decades ago, it was really focused on the military, because San Antonio, that was the primary economic driver in San Antonio, and SA to DC was really about addressing military concerns, right?
That is correct. We are Military USA, Military City USA. And the community has long focused its efforts on making sure our military is able to conduct the missions and to grow its missions the way it needs to for our national security.
As co-chairs, your vision for this year's SA to DC was a city of innovation. Tell us a little bit about that vision.
Sure. Well, to begin with, my CEO, Paula Gold-Williams, who is President and CEO of CPS Energy, and this year's chair of the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, had asked not for one, but for two people to co-chair SA to DC. So putting two public entities together to work together under the theme of innovation.
All three of us were in DC this week. We were up on the Hill. We were lobbying with our different groups, meeting with elected officials and staff, but we also had people come visit with the entire delegation. Some very important people talking about some of the most pressing issues of the day. What were some of the highlights from this week? My highlight personally was getting Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska to come and speak to our plenary session. I had the privilege of meeting the senator a few weeks ago, having been invited to a breakfast where he was speaking, promoting his book. So his new book, Them? Right. The title of his book is Them, Why We Hate Each Other and How to Heal. So the provocative title, but the book is not about politics. It's about the many factors that are depersonalizing our society and how that's at the root of so many things that we need to improve in the country. And so he did not disappoint. He was an incredibly compelling speaker, a bit of a shift away from the politics of the day to talk about headier things. And I think we got really good feedback about his his participation.
Jonathan, I might mention too another highlight that we as a group were fortunate enough to have the Speaker of the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, come and visit with us, and she offered some really insightful remarks, but took the whole group by surprise that she put in a plug for San Antonio and the continued efforts that we hope to achieve a nonstop flight from San Antonio into Reagan National.
Yeah. In recent years, SA to DC has played an important role in securing support for some major initiatives in San Antonio. What were some of the legislative and budgetary asks that the delegation was making this year?
Well, we're still chasing reimbursement for the San Antonio river improvements. That's an ongoing process. We also have a project for improvement of the west side creeks being a little parochial to talk about Port San Antonio and Kelly Field, we have a vision for building a world-class innovation center at Port San Antonio, and there are a couple of elements that will be important to that vision coming to fruition moving forward. One is that the future basing decisions of the Air Force around cyber and intelligence keep those commands in San Antonio. And then the other element is our airfield. Kelly Field will need a new runway or an additional runway in the future to have redundancy and reliability.
And Kathy, CPS Energy is the largest municipally owned gas and electric utility in the country. And one of the issues that we addressed on this trip was the threat to infrastructure, including to utilities. And I was amazed to hear about the types of threats that CPS Energy has to deal with on a daily basis, and what you're doing in connection with our experts and with people in government to protect the infrastructure.
Yes, as part of this trip, we had a wide array of participants that either work in or around the cybersecurity industry. And CPS Energy is partnering with Port San Antonio, with UTSA, with a number of other entities to make sure that we work collaboratively. We are asking for more assistance with information sharing across public and private entities, as well as really timely sharing of information.
Well, Kathy and Juan Antonio, thank you very much for joining us this month on The Point.
Thank you.
Thanks, great being here.